Welcome to the Agency Navigators podcast. I'm Merle.
I'm Don.
And we have
Adam.
Adam is our intelligence analyst. He has been with us now 2 years, so woohoo. 2 years tomorrow, right, Adam?
Yep, that's correct. Celebrating my birthday.
And as always, we have had so much development, having Adam on the team, taking all of that information from Don's brain and turning it into something so visual that today we're going to dive in and show you Dashboard 2.0. So Adam, why don't you give us a preview, or do you have anything to add?
Well, Adam, go ahead.
All right. So thank you guys very much for having me on today. I appreciate it. And we'll go right into chatting about Dashboard 2.0. So Dashboard 1.0 was released a little over a year ago. It's been very useful. We've been able to get a lot of feedback from clients, and we've listened. We've listened to all that feedback, taken in pointers, keys that we're actually working on internally as well. And we're putting it all into this dashboard. So what was a reporting tool is slowly starting to become a very powerful and intelligent decision-making engine. So with that said, just to give you guys a little bit of a level set on what happened behind the scenes, the stuff that you won't be seeing on the screen specifically is there was essentially a full engine and infrastructure rebuild to significantly improve the performance, stability, and long-term reliability of the tool. We streamlined Power Queries, we applied semantic model updates, and we also implemented some upstream data normalization. Just, not to get too deep in the weeds, but we did a lot of work in the infrastructure behind the scenes. So with that said, that we can lead right into showing you some of the new visuals that we have here.
Absolutely. So it does look the same. The opening looks the same. Anything to add to that?
We still have the three major components. And the first component is the book of business, understanding what is going on in your active book of business.
And again, this isn't something that the agency management systems have. This is an agency CFO focal point for the past 2 years since Adam joined us. In fact, the year he joined us, agency CFO, that was the year of the book of business. Every year we pick a theme. And it's a snapshot. It's something we do every month for our agency partners. And then it goes through your automation engine.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of data cleansing and normalization to provide the very best insight. So we're taking that data and we're massaging it to put it into the very best position.
Yeah, this doesn't happen or didn't happen at the drop of a hat. There are years of development. And then Adam joining us took that data from Don that he had gotten and really cleaned up and got ready. And then it goes into the Power BI dashboard.
And at the end of the day, we want you to be able to make real-time decisions with the best data possible. And this is data out of your agency management system, or probably a little bit better.
It's nothing you can get anywhere else. Even from the AMS systems, their dashboards doesn't come close to this. Again, it's a mindful focal point that we decided years ago that really was going to be the future of the industry and what we needed. So it's not paralysis by analysis. It is actual usable data.
So we're going to start with the book of business. And some of this will be very, very familiar. And again, we look at the book of business by, our customer counts, our policy counts, our commissions, and our premiums are the four main ways of assessing a book of business.
And as you can see, as Don just said that, Adam is toggling through his slicers and the data. This is sample data, but it is live. And Adam, anything to add to what we've just said? You're toggling through.
No, that's actually, Don pretty much covered it all there.
Perfect.
Now, there is a familiar story, especially with most of us living in the hard market. And what you are looking at is a very realistic depiction for a large percentage of agencies And what we're looking at is first, we're looking at our customer count. Are we gaining or losing insureds?
Over the last year,
Many, a large percentage of agencies are actually seeing a decrease in their customer base or their insured base.
all right?
Policies.
Let's go to policies.
Normally, they move in tandem. For many agencies, we've seen something similar. We've seen a reduction in policy count.
This is more flat. It's only actually grown by 16.
Absolutely. So over the course of the year, policy hasn't moved much at all. Commissions?
Let's go. Let's see it. Yep, there's the growth.
Indicative of a hard market. For most agencies have seen significant commission increase over the last year without much increase in corresponding client or policy count. And this is a real life example where we can see that the last 2-3 months, notice the slope of the curve of the line is flattening. And this is indicative, again, as we're shifting from a harder market to a less hard to maybe even a soft market. What we are starting to see is that the commission
The flattening.
is the flattening.
So when we've said on previous episodes, or if we were on a call with us or anything, we've said that we can prove the hard market, we can prove the impact, and we can prove the flattening and now the softening. These are the dashboards. This is the data. Adam, anything to add?
No, that's actually it's all really good points there.
All right. So
Let's look at premium, Adam. Let's lastly look at premium. And we see a very similar story where we've been.
The softening.
You see the softening, the premium starts to soften. Actually, it's dropping a little bit. This is why what happens here in the book business will ultimately end up in your financials.
It is the leading indicator. So I want to shout out to Adam, as he said at the beginning of this, that it's the engine was totally rebuilt. Everything was stripped down. It looks very similar to the dashboard 1.0. But there is underneath the hood, as Adam likes to say, it's very different. So Adam, why don't you talk about the integrity scores? Because this is something you really worked on as well.
Of course, definitely. Because data integrity is something that's near and dear to my heart as a data analyst. So definitely something that we want to make sure we're keeping track of for you. So one thing you will notice, there has been a little bit of a visualization change to kind of focus more specifically on the charts, the usable areas. There have been some shrinking down of some of the white space, things like that. But one of the things, as Ro pointed out, that I'm really excited about is we've upgraded from 1 data integrity score to 5. So now we're actually tracking commission, premium, carrier, producer, and CSR individually at those levels for your book of business, your new business, and your retention if you have the mastery version, but book of business across the board for all. And as you can see, you have all of these slicers that look really nice, but it's really fun to watch them move. So when you click into a different department, let's say, you can see all of the data integrity score for this department for premium and commission is much lower. So in real time, you actually get to see those slicers move. And then when you take off your slicers.
Can you click on personal lines, Adam, please?
Of course.
And let's go to commissions. So everyone's seeing a live demo. When we do our earnings calls and our work with our agency partners. And so when looking at this, the integrity scores are high. They're in good shape, meaning all the data is clean. The fields are filled out. From your analysis point, what are you seeing in this personal lines agency?
This is a very well-run agency. It would be typical where it says their data quality is high.
And again, it's sample.
It is sample, but it is realistic of a really well-run agency where every policy, essentially 100% of the policies have a premium, an estimated premium for every policy, as well as 96% of policies have an estimated commission. And that gives us, that tells us that there's a process in place that is maintaining a very high level of data integrity. And it gives us assurance that when we're analyzing our data, that it's really realistic. It is, it's telling us the correct story.
Well, and again, your book of business is your leading indicator. Knowing that this data is solid, when we get to the financials, your lagging indicator, we know what we're looking at is real. All right. So where do we want to go next, guys?
All right. Now to a new feature of 2.0 is
drum roll.
Yes. We've been looking at these dynamics one at a time: customers, policy count, commission, and premium. Let's take a look at the picture all together.
There you go.
All right. Now we're looking at a lot of numbers, and we can look at there's a story here. As we look at the leftmost, it starts with customer count, policy count, commission, and premium. Red.
The 4 boxes at the top.
Absolutely. And now we're looking at the columns below. So if it's red, we're looking at a decrease, green's an increase. And we can see that the colors across the 4 columns aren't the same. And we start with the left 2, we can see that our customer counts have been lots of times going down. For most months, we're in the red. Our policy counts, kind of a mixed picture. A lot of red months, more red months than green months. Mm-hmm. But look at commission. Green every month, meaning our commission, our book of business commissions, been increasing regardless of whether our customers and our policy count goes up or down. Again, hard market. And this is the story of the hard market, where for many agencies, client count and policy count are shrinking, but the commissions are increasing. And we can see that mainly the same story in the premiums as well. This is very much important to show what's going on, that there are separate stories. Is again, our client story is one of, well, we're actually losing a few of our clients. We're actually our client base is actually shrinking, but our commission base has significantly increased. And that's indicative of a very significant hard market impact, which is but likely to change here as the market changes. We're likely to see a very different picture.
So in this, I'm going to say brilliant work, because I'm proud of these 2 guys and everything they've accomplished. Adam, why don't you pick the Department of Personal Lines? Because the slicers show everything separate. And let's see how that changes in the shifts. And you'll see, or commercial lines. So everything we have shifts it. And we do this on a monthly basis. Either one of you, I don't care. Let's talk about, because we've had the request, well, why can't this be daily? Why can't this be weekly?
Because there's no value, or essentially extremely small value. And there's lots of reasons why that we live in this world of, yes, we want to see everything up to the second. And the reality is your carriers don't update, and your team doesn't update policies by the second. And there would be false positives and false negatives. And that's why when we look at it, we consistently snapshot the data over a 1 month. So every month we snapshot. And that's that consistency of being able to see the overall trend is where the value is. And that's why, don't look at your numbers by every day. No, that can be very misleading. You want to look at it, again, periodically and normally monthly.
All right. Anything to add, Adam?
No, just the fact that you mentioned it. Analysis paralysis is a very much real thing. So, there's already a lot to take in here. So to be able to go in on a daily basis and take in that much data information and try to constantly make corrections, you're going to end up overcorrecting in places or undercorrecting in places. Yeah. So a lot of these things, the insurance world, a lot of things take a little bit of a tail in order to actually come on the way you need to see them.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well said. Right. Well said. Again, a lot of work behind the scenes. This was months and months and months to get Dashboard 2.0 up.
All right, Adam, let's take a look at the next piece of the expirations.
All right.
This is yet another revolutionary new offering.
So this is a view of expirations by month, and this gives you a sense of workload. And this can be very valuable if we select just an individual producer or CSR account manager, we can see what the anticipated expirations are, or essentially workload.
Mm-hmm. So it allows us, when we have certain CSRs who say, I'm so busy, and they may be, you may have some carrying the bulk of the work and others not. This is a good decision-making management tool. And that's how Adam kicked us off by saying we're evolving this into actually a decision-making engine. It's through metrics like this that will get us there. And here's the tease for this one. You'll hear us teasing. There is something bigger coming. It is a new AgencyCFO metric. You've never heard of it before because we've just developed it. It'll be, have we decided Dashboard 3.0? Is that going to be the naming structure? What have we got, Adam? We're not going to tell them what it is, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big revolutionary change. I think it deserves a full number evolution itself. So I believe so, 3.0.
And we think in the next month or two, this was a fast and furious. You guys have really, really put in extra blood, sweat, and tears to get this new metric. When do you think it will release it to the public?
Well, it's coming soon, so stay tuned. All I'm going to commit to is it's close. Stay tuned.
This is my quick start being super excited because I've seen it and it is amazing.
So for the time being, these are new functionalities. We're going to take a quick look at new business and retention. So Adam, let's jump forward. Okay. This is the new business for all of our mastery agencies. We can see a viewpoint of new business. And you notice that the integrity scores are on the top. So these will change by whatever page you're on and however you slice it. You can see here's an agency that does very well with new business. So when they're writing new business, they are getting the commissions on the policies, they're getting the premiums on the policies. Everybody's assigned to a carrier. They're assigning to a producer. Everyone's assigned to a CSR. This is indicative of a well-run agency where oftentimes we see that the new business process, all right, we write these policies, but we're not collecting all the necessary data. In this agency, we're doing a really good job.
Mm-hmm. Right, now retention.
And as we define retention in this version of the dashboard, we're defining it via cancellations. So what we are looking here are policies that have been canceled. They're lost for various reasons. These are policies that did not renew. So we can see by a customer, the policy, the commission amount and premium amount of cancellations over a 12-month period. And again, you'll notice that the data integrity scores have changed slightly, but again, are indicative of we have good data here of understanding, how much business is leaving us out the back door. So when we take our new business and combine that with our cancellation data, what you saw early in this episode was here's our net book of business. At the end of the day, is most important thing that you can be looking at is the net change to your overall book of business.
And that comes down to, as we've said, it's your policies, it's your procedures, it's getting your team on the right page for your renewals, for your pipeline management, for your data integrity. All of these little facets show up in our dashboards. And it is critical. Adam is smiling. What do you want to add, Adam?
Well, I mean, one of my favorite sayings is data doesn't lie. At the end of the day, with the way the data slices out, especially with all the large process we go through of cleansing, normalizing, all of that, the data it doesn't lie. You can't hide behind, the numbers. So they're pretty glaringly obvious.
Absolutely. And these are the fundamentals and the foundational aspects which really drive the agency's financials. So understanding, again, what is happening in your book of business.
And let's go back to that
Is
book
essential.
of business overview page. So this way we don't leave them on a red note. We'll leave them on the overall view. My comments to add are when Don and I developed the idea, Don's idea, and we approached this as a business decision of what investment we wanted to make, the search and ultimate hiring of Adam, the work we've put into this, the whole team training, all of that. This is a value-added service for our agency CFO mastery clients. If you're a mastery client, we are unlimited. It is subscription-based. And it is important. We made the investment for our agency partners. They're not charged more for this. You have to be a mastery client because we need to know your data and your agency.
For the vast majority of our agencies that we work with, you can't afford to have an Adam full-time on staff. We can. And again, by doing this and by sharing the value, again, we can all benefit. All of our partner agencies can benefit from something that we've built in a universal fashion. So regardless of the AMS you're on, we can do this for you. We can provide this to you regardless of your platform, and it will look and function exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. And it's a journey. This is, as Adam and Don have reminded me many times, and agency owners out there, you're often quick starts, and I'm a legendary quick start. It does take time. If you start working with us, we take monthly snapshots of your book of business. We can give you a 3-month read, a 6-month read, and then ultimately a year-long read. We are in it together over time. It is available to all our agency partners, but it is time. Anything Adam on that?
No. I think you're pretty much right on. It's the ability to capture that data, those snapshots, is what makes all of this possible. And it's the fact that we essentially have your books of business in time capsules, and it makes a world of difference.
And again, the agency management systems don't have that. But what we do from the beginning when we start capturing it is the integrity, don't we?
Absolutely.
That doesn't take time. We can see that right away, and it allows your agency to work on it.
We've assisted many agencies to find resources to improve that integrity, because the better data you have, the better decisions. And I think at the end of the day, where this comes down to is, as Adam said, this is now a decision-making tool. This is key information to help make important decisions, which ultimately are going to have a large impact on the financials.
So that was my final. Absolutely. Love. I'm super excited. I love being on the calls when we actually put this information, this data into use, and seeing the ramifications and the impact and the positivity that's come from it. I know the efforts and the investment and the resources that's gone into it. Super excited for this. Really excited for what's coming next and the next evolution. So on that note, please reach out to us. It is a journey. Can't have it overnight, but we can get you on that path. Adam, what are your final wrap-up thoughts on this?
My final wrap-up thoughts are, like you had mentioned, it's tough, a lot of times not having a data analyst on staff, things like that.
Yeah.
Just that one last piece to really nail home is, again, that the investment in your data, that is something that can be done in-house. And one thing I did want to point out is we still have our classic ability. When you hit that info button up by those 5 dials, you actually have the ability to jump back to another page where you can see all of the records that make up your data integrity score, anything that's taking a knock against it. And that gives you the ability to actually export this into an Excel document, which you can then take, you can distribute, you can have somebody go in, update records, things like that. So then you can invest in actually increasing your own data integrity score. So then you can trust your data too.
We've tried to think of everything.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thank
Adam.
you. And your final wrap-up thoughts.
Understanding the book of business is the agency's overwhelming asset. At the end of the day, what the agency has is a book of business. Manage it, make great decisions, and you'll be doing the best thing for the future of your agency.
There you have it. So as always, thank you for joining us. We hope this was helpful for you. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We are all on social media. Find us, connect with us. We are always happy to have a conversation. And thank you.
Make great decisions, and you will be improving your financial wellness.
Take care.